Well, good afternoon. We've just concluded a historic legislative session. I want to take a moment and thank MPPs on all sides of the legislature, because during these critical times, people expected us to come together and get the job done, and that's exactly what we did. During this historic sitting of the legislature, we worked together to protect the public from COVID-19 and support Ontario families, businesses, and communities. It was absolutely critical to find a way to ensure your government and your legislature could continue to work for you. And I want to thank our excellent Government House Leader for all of his work. Earlier on, we sat down with the NDP, Liberals, Greens, and Independents to make sure all MPPs could get back to work and represent the people they serve. We might not always agree, but we all agreed that we needed to find a safe and responsible way to get the legislature back. My friends, collaboration was more important than ever. So we rolled up our sleeves and got to work. In fact, working with the opposition parties, we were able to pass 6 bills in this session with full support from every political party. In total, our government passed a historic 18 pieces of legislation during this critical time. Legislation like job-protected leave for workers affected by COVID-19, a $17 billion COVID-19 action plan to support our frontline healthcare workers, families, workers, students, and businesses through the worst of this pandemic. We protected small businesses from commercial evictions, and last night, our government passed 2 pieces of legislation to support our economic recovery and ensure we can safely reopen the province while protecting our most vulnerable citizens. But the work doesn't stop here. This session has ended, but our work continues. Our government will keep working for you. We can't stop. We won't stop until every community, every worker in Ontario gets back on their feet. We will visit as many businesses as we can. We will visit as many communities as we can to thank them, to hear their stories, and to understand how we can support them. My friends, we're getting Ontario back on track, and we're coming back stronger than ever before. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll pass it over to Minister Calandra.
Thank you, Premier. This year we have faced truly unprecedented challenges. In March, we moved quickly with cross-partisan support to suspend traditional legislative activity to protect support staff, protective services, and MPPs. When we needed emergency legislative measures to protect people, protect the economy, and support the front lines of this pandemic, all parties came together to authorize emergency sittings of the House and to expedite passage of emergency legislation. As our frontline healthcare workers battled COVID-19, the people of Ontario expected us to be in the legislature, at work, and that is just what we did. With the input and support of the opposition, we took unprecedented steps to allow for a safe and responsible resumption of legislative activities in a way that allowed the full participation of all members. I'm proud to say that after extended summer sittings, our government has passed 18 bills, including a private member's bill. We have seen more than 220 hours of committee consultation with more than 500 public presenters. We have ordered one of the largest consultations ever done by a legislative committee. Through an expanded Standing Committee on Finance and Economic Affairs, we are conducting an in-depth review of economic impacts of COVID-19 and measures supporting economic recovery in Ontario. It's a consultation which will take us through the fall. While the House is now adjourned until September, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all members from all parties and their dedicated staff for their hard work for the people of Ontario. I'd also like to take a moment to sincerely thank the clerk, the deputy clerk, the sergeant-at-arms, procedural staff, support staff, and protective services of the Legislative Assembly for their tireless efforts to support our work at the Legislative Assembly. I thank the clerks for their leadership in helping to build and enable new legislative processes allowing the participation and involvement of all members. Specifically, I note the systems of physically distant voting and the incredibly successful model for virtual meetings of the legislative committees, which have allowed unprecedented public engagement. The fight against COVID-19 is not over, and as legislators, our top priority remains the health and safety of all Ontarians and a path to stable economic recovery. Thank you.
We'll go to the phone line for questions. First question.
Your first question comes from Natasha McDonald with Radio Canada. Please go ahead.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi, Premier. I want to ask you about MPP Karahalios. She said to CBC that she didn't expect to be punished for doing her job. She said that if MPPs aren't allowed to vote on legislation, it takes away their voices and the voices of their constituents. So, Premier, are you sending a clear message that MPPs better get in line or else they'll get the boot? And if the government House leader could answer after in French, that would be great.
No, that's great. Before I pass it to the House leader, I just want to tell you, as far as I'm concerned, I think as far as Belinda is concerned, we have a phenomenal relationship. I was with her for 2 days, last week. Never said a word to me. Didn't mention anything to me. And this is a piece of legislation what's critical, absolutely critical, to protect the health and well-being of the people of Ontario. This is legislation that is, number one, is fully transparent. I'm here every day. A lot of orders have stopped. Some we have to continue. And one example is about making sure that we give the flexibility to hospitals to help out on the long-term care folks with their staff, making sure that the long-term care staff stays at one location, making sure we keep the electricity rates affordable for people when they're at home, when they're working at home and businesses. This is one piece of legislation that is absolutely critical. And for the people at home, when this is moving rapidly, we can't wait 3 weeks and 4 weeks in some cases to call back the legislature and move it forward. And it's an absolute critical bill. But I just want to wish her all the best. She's a good person, never had an issue, never had a disagreement with her. And I just want to wish her all the best, but I'll pass it over to the House Leader. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Comme vous savez, nous avons travaillé très fort les derniers 4 mois pour battre le COVID-19. Comme le Premier ministre a dit, ça c'est un projet de loi 195 qui est très important pour nos efforts pour battre le COVID-19 et c'est pourquoi nous avons les expectations que tous nos députés à travailler ensemble et voter avec le gouvernement. Comme le House Leader, je n'ai aucune consultation avec Mme Karahalios qu'elle vous votez contre cette mesure. Mais en même temps, comme le Premier ministre a dit, tous nos collègues vous le meilleur pour Mme Karahalios, mais nous sommes très fiers de nos efforts et nous continuerons avec cette battle contre le COVID-19. Merci.
Follow-up.
Thank you for that. My follow-up is for the Premier.
Yes.
So the Auditor General told the National Observer that your government broke the law by passing Bill 197 without consulting the public on the environmental changes. So what's your response to that?
Well, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree, but this is a good question for the House Leader again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, look, we take the advice, but as you know, the passage of 197 allows for continued consultation with respect to the changes that are implicit in the Environmental Assessment Act. As Minister Urick said quite clearly yesterday, this is an important piece of legislation which will modernize the Environmental Assessment Act after some 50 years. It makes important changes to allow us to work closely with our municipal partners and with our partners at other levels of government to end duplication within the system, but also to make sure that we put the focus on what is required, on protecting those very important pieces of the environment that all Ontarians would expect. But at the same time, we've heard from a lot of our partners, look, an environmental assessment on whether a red light camera should be, not a red light camera, but a stoplight should be put at a particular intersection. I think most Ontarians would think that is unacceptable, but ultimately, as Minister York has been very clear, we will continue consultations and we will make sure that the legislation respects the fact that we have to keep the environment safe while moving forward with important economic activity. Thanks.
Next question.
Your next question comes from Lucas Meyer with News Talk 1010. Please go ahead.
Hi, Lucas.
Hello, thank you very much. On education, Premier, we just received our new poll, Mero Blue poll, where an overwhelming majority of Ontario parents say that they want their kids back in class 5 days a week, no hybrid, no e-learning, and obviously this is the goal of yours. So what is the government doing with boards to get away from the thinking of a potential hybrid or e-learning system?
Well, I heard your poll. Actually, I thought it was pretty low because I'm putting my own personal poll when I go talk to people and talk to parents. I just had a conversation with a mother today, and they want certainty. Families want certainty when they go back to work that they're going to be there 5 days a week. I've mentioned this to the minister. He understands that people want 5 days a week, and he's working with the boards and making that clear. The reason we have 3 other areas, God forbid we go the other way and we get a second wave of this or a flu season or something goes off the tracks, you have to have a backup plan. But our goal as a government to get the kids back safely in the classroom 5 days a week. And nothing's more important, especially with elementary kids. High school kids, they're old enough, they can take care of themselves if the parents aren't home. But elementary, we have to make sure that the kids are back in the classroom 5 days a week. And the other thing, when I was talking to a teacher the other day and a school board trustee, and I just off the cuff, I said, I remember the big highlight when I was going to school, the teacher would say, okay guys, we're gonna have a class outside underneath the tree. And I said, is that a ridiculous question? They said, no, actually, that's what we're thinking, the same thing. At least in September, weather permitting, and not raining, not cold, that if the kids could go outside as much as possible and learn outside. And they said, hey, that's what we're pushing at our board. So we just have to adapt and try to get through this, especially through September, October, November. Hopefully we'll see some real positive numbers. But that's our goal as a government, and I know the minister is working extremely hard in making that happen.
Follow-up?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Premier, because, I mean, a big chunk of those parents, about 70%, wanted some of those out-of-the-box ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned more outdoor learning. One of the ideas that's being talked about is using, empty areas, maybe even movie theaters, as classrooms. So can you expand a bit more on an out-of-the-box idea, other than perhaps outdoor education, which is not too unorthodox, that you've considered or mulled over to ensure that we get to 5 days a week back in the classroom?
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave that up, Lucas, to the minister to talk to the boards too. I know a few proposals come in from Ottawa, some other regions already. We have to work with the boards and be creative. And I've always said in business and politics, no idea is a ridiculous idea. Let's come up with ideas. We're all in this together. We need the parents' ideas. We need the teachers and the school boards and the ministry. And most of all, we need the kids. Kids, I've talked to so many kids. I've never seen so many kids itching to get back to school in my entire life. They just can't wait to get back and see their friends, number one, but start learning in kind of the new normal scenario. So we'll do everything we can. I know the minister will be up here over the next short period to answer those questions.
Next question.
Your next question comes from Sean Jeffords with the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Hi, Sean.
Good afternoon, Premier. Premier, I wanted to follow up about the adjournment of the legislature. You and Minister Calandra have mentioned that there was an expectation from the public that the legislature would sit during the pandemic and accomplish things for people of the province. Why do you think that's changed, and why do you think that it's now okay to adjourn the legislature for the next month and a half, even as the pandemic continues?
So this is unprecedented. The last sitting that we had, we passed 16 pieces of legislation, and do you know what was great? Six pieces, and it's unheard of, to be very frank, no matter what party's in power, that everyone collaborated, all parties, and there's no one better than Minister Calandra than sitting down with all the parties and trying to come up with a consensus. And I always say we can't agree on 100% of the things, but I want to give a shout out to the opposition parties, be it the NDP, Liberals, Greens, and Independents for cooperating. So we ended up passing a lot of legislation, but most importantly, people have to get back to their ridings and start talking to the people. You could be cooped up here, and I call it the bubble down here, and just talk to the people down here. That's just wrong. We represent the people. The people are the power, not the bunch of politicians. And when I get out there and I talk to people, and I was out in Peel region, it's unbelievable just meeting people on the street, coming up and talking to you, telling you their issues. And that's when I say about the polling about the kids, that's where I get it from. I don't go get some polling off some company. I talk to the people, and when 9 out of 10 parents, and especially moms, are telling me I want my kids back in school, that's how I govern. But I'll pass it over to the leader again.
Thank you very much for that question. It was actually an incredible session. We were able to accomplish a lot by working together with the opposition. A lot of members on both sides of the House, though, had been very clear that they had to get back into their ridings. They had to continue to meet with small, medium, and large enterprises, with their counterparts at federal and municipal level. But at the same time, we have one of the largest, if not the largest, study ever commissioned by this Legislative Assembly, which will take place throughout the summer, continue to take place throughout the summer. So far, the Standing Committee on Finance has heard from over 200 participants in over 100 hours, and they are scheduled to continue that work throughout the summer. So the work of the legislature will continue, and again, just a real shout out to the clerks and to the Assembly staff here. I can't say this enough. We were able to bring back legislative committees and undertake reviews on bills, unprecedented levels of engagement. So that work will continue over the summer. While still allowing our members on both sides to get back into the ridings and to participate in these consultations. As always, we look forward to the return of Parliament and hearing what all members have heard over the summer. Thanks.
Follow up?
Yeah, if I can
And
just
Premier, on the ejection.
That's all right. No, I was just
on
going
the
to.
ejection.
I apologize. I just want to follow up on the last question. There's been a misnomer out there for God knows decades. If you aren't sitting, you aren't working. That's the furthest thing from the truth. You're working just as a matter of fact. You're probably even working harder when it's not sitting, because you're out in your community and you're answering questions, going to your riding and talking to the people and all over. So. And that goes for all the parties, by the way. It's not about PC, Liberal, Green, whatever. I believe everyone's out there really busting it, especially nowadays. But I'm sorry, I apologize. Go ahead.
Premier, I wanted to follow up about the ejection of MPP Karahalios from the PC caucus. Does her vote not send a signal that there are people within your party's ranks who are not happy with the government's pandemic response and the new powers that your government has granted itself? And what are you doing to reassure Ontarians more generally that these powers will not be abused?
Well, this is about protecting the people, this legislation. It's nothing else. I'm out here every day. It's all transparent. Everyone knows what the orders are. Some of the orders have stopped. Some we've had to continue, and that's the reason you have caucus meetings, you have cabinet meetings, and it doesn't matter what party you're from. This was one of the single most important pieces of legislation to protect the people of Ontario. Bottom line, full stop. It's about making sure that we protect people in long-term care, make sure our hospital system keeps moving, making sure that people have low electricity rates, and I could go on and on and on. These are things that matter to people, fully transparent, and if anyone, every MPP has my number. They can call me. I'm always available. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure. But within a caucus, we have some good comments, good heated discussions, but at the end of the day, you come out united. This is about working for the people, and making sure you represent the people. But you get into politics, you're part of a team, you move forward as a team, and that's what we're doing.
Next question.
Your next question comes from Colin DeMello with CTV News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Colin.
Hi there, Premier Ford. I just had another follow-up question about Belinda Carr-Hollioaks. Last week, you actually called her an all-star MPP.
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering, why wasn't she allowed to vote her conscience on this? And is this a signal to anyone listening that if you disagree with Doug Ford, you have no place in the Progressive Conservative Party?
Listen, we have caucus members. We all disagree, and to be very frank, I disagree with the caucus. Sometimes I disagree with the cabinet, but at the end of the day, when the cabinet and caucus make a decision, I go with it. Because we're all part of a team, and ironically, I was with Belinda, not a word, and I like Belinda, and I'm sure you ask her, we've never had bad words. We get along. I was with her for 2 days, going to her customers, and yes, I believe all my MPPs are all stars. I truly believe that, but again, this is about the legislation protecting the people of this province. It is absolutely critical. It was transparent. We're here every day, and I'm not going to waver when it comes to protecting the health and the safety of the people of Ontario. We have to move forward. Just imagine if we had to call back the legislature and wait for 3 weeks to make a decision. It just moves too quick. So, but I wish her all the best. I really do. It's not an easy decision.
Follow up.
And do you mind, could I also get the government House Leader to comment on that
sure.
question, on the voting her conscience piece specifically?
Thanks for that, Colin. Listen, we as the Premier has said, we have very vibrant caucus meetings. We've continued to meet as a caucus throughout the pandemic. Specifically, I know that Belinda has received a number of briefings as the parliamentary assistant to the minister. We've had no indication, as House Leader, I had no indication that she was wanting to vote against this particular bill. But as the Premier said, this is central to what we have been doing over the last number of months. The government and the legislature has been seized with COVID-19 and the fight against COVID-19 and in helping to protect the health and safety of the people of the province of Ontario. And that will continue moving forward. I liken this, Colin, if I can, to a budget bill where all members are expected to vote with the government on a budget bill. Given the importance of our fight against COVID-19 and given how important it is to help protect the safety of the people of the province of Ontario, I think the right decision was made. But as the Premier said, look, I still consider Belinda a friend, and I'm always will be available to her if she wants to comment on anything going forward. And as I said, I wish her nothing but the best, and I know that's a sentiment that the majority of our caucus would express to her when they see her.
Follow up.
Thank you. My follow-up question is for the Premier. Premier, there are lots of rumors, speculation, reports that you're about to shuffle your cabinet, both inside Queen's Park, outside Queen's Park. Everyone's talking about it. I'm wondering if you can help us pop the speculation here. Can you definitively say that you are not going to be shuffling your cabinet in July or in August?
Well, what I can tell you, I have an incredible cabinet, and I've always said, if I know it's not possible, I could literally have 2 cabinets. We have deep, deep talent in caucus. And there's so many people that could fill a lot of positions in cabinet, but right now we have a great cabinet. We have an incredible caucus, and I'm so grateful for the way they've been working so hard, and they've been doing a great job. If it was up to me, I'd put everyone in cabinet because they're high quality people, and they're phenomenal, and they all would do a phenomenal job, and I truly believe that.
Next question.
Your next question comes from Christina Elliott with CP24. Please go ahead.
Hi, Christina.
Hi, Premier. Sorry, 1 second. I'm having a issue with my audio. Premier, hope you're well.
Yeah.
Question for you about teachers and education. So on Monday, the trustees of the Halton District School Board sent a letter to Minister Lecce calling on the government to withdraw the hybrid model and to provide additional funding for a 15-student daily attendance model instead. Their concern is the hybrid model relies heavily on accessible and affordable childcare so that working parents can participate in the workforce. In Halton, that volume of childcare space doesn't exist. Is the government considering removing the hybrid model as one of the 3 options?
Well, again, the hybrid model and the other two options were there just to make sure that we're covering all our bases. We're working with the boards. I want to just mention to the folks listening today, we've put more money into education than any government in the history of Ontario. It's $25 billion with a B, $25 billion. We increased it by $734 million. I talked to the minister again this morning regarding the capacity. He said we're at 91% capacity of daycare. I said, well, we need to get it up to 100. He assures me it'll be up to 100. And as we move forward, more childcare facilities will be opening up, especially in August. But people, I go back, Christina, people want certainty, and I want to give them certainty that they have a safe place for their kids to go to school, and after school that they have after school programs and daycare. So I think everything's going to come together. I'm pretty confident. But our goal as a government is let's get especially elementary schools, get them back in the classroom 5 days a week safely. And if we all work together, there's nothing that we can't get over as a group. And I always emphasize, when I say we, I'm talking the people of Ontario, that we've hit so many hurdles, and we've all stuck together. We get over the hurdles, and this is another hurdle that we're going to get over and make sure in September we start getting kids back in the class safely and teaching them.
And Premier, this question is from my colleague at CTV Kitchener. She says the Ontario Health Coalition just held a news conference saying long-term care home staffing levels, according to the OHC, are worse off now in Ontario than prior to the pandemic, and it's in a crisis situation, especially if a second wave hits. The NDP just put out a news release saying the same thing. They're asking you to mandate that enough staff be on each shift to offer at least 4 hours of hands-on care. So what is your government going to do to address staffing levels amongst PSWs and nurses in long-term care homes?
So I'm really happy you asked me this question. I'm going to answer kind of in two parts here. We have a working group that we mentioned. We launched in February. By the end of this month, they're going to come forward on staffing issues and other issues that we can correct. But Christina, thank you for answering this, because this is exactly what I'm talking about the legislation, why we had to pass it and why everyone had to vote for it. A perfect example is, if we didn't have this, we wouldn't be able to have that flexibility to flow staff from the hospitals into long-term care to support them. That's one example. Imagine if all of a sudden we just cut that off and said, okay, by the way, folks, you're just going to have to wait a few weeks till we call everyone back and we'll pass it, and it'll take 3 weeks. This is exactly the reason. You nailed it. Thank you. But maybe I'll just pass this over to the Minister of Health and share her comments as well on this.
Well, with respect to the issue of staffing, it is something that we're preparing for, both the Ministry of Long-Term Care as well as the Ministry of Health. We're facing conditions coming up in September, sometime probably, of the flu season with potentially a second wave. We're also trying to make sure that we have capacity in hospitals for that, and making sure that we have the necessary hospital staff, but also the necessary staff in long-term care homes. We still have hospital staff running at least 11 long-term care homes, but eventually they will need to leave, and so the health human resources piece is very important, particularly as it relates to personal support workers, and so we are addressing that with a strategy now.
Last question.
Your final question comes from Robert Benzie with the Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Premier. I was wanting to return to the Belinda Carvalho situation.
Sure.
Is she going to be allowed back in caucus at some point? Is there a path back for her into the PC caucus?
Well, I'm going to have to let the House Leader answer that. That's fine.
Thanks, Robert. Listen, I mean, this is a decision that the full caucus will make. If Ms. Carvalho indicates at some point in time in the future that she would like to return to the Progressive Conservative caucus, that is something that we would bring to the caucus and allow a vote from the full caucus on.
Follow up.
And on the similar subject for the Premier, is the Premier, are you aware that Belinda Carvalho wasn't the only Conservative in your ranks, either sitting at Queen's Park or at your cabinet table or as a party member, who is concerned about Bill 195 and concerned about the government's overall approach to COVID-19. Are you worried that there's this dissension in the ranks and that Ms. Karahalios may just be the tip of the iceberg?
Not at all. Anyone can call me, and that's the first I've heard about it. But if they want to call me and talk to me about it, absolutely, I have no problem with that. But let's go back to Christina's question. This is the reason we need the flexibility for the people. It has nothing to do with the government. I just want to protect the people. I want to protect the health and well-being of people in long-term care and the health system, making sure that we keep electricity rates low. That's what it comes down to. And guys, this is, everyone knows, Robert, you know the orders that are out there still, and everyone knows I'm up here every day. So it's just, no, there's just no excuses. You need to vote on an important piece of legislation like this, and I'll leave it at that. I wish her all the best. I get along great with her. I was with her for 2 days. Not a word was mentioned to me, which I find ironic, but that's here nor there. She's a good person, and tough decision.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.